how does this make me feel? How does this make me perform? Right. So those are my three takeaways. Right. So I got like three things I wanna finish on, and then I don't know if you have anything you want to add before I do that.
Add. I'll just do an interjection,
Okay, go.
if that's the
Yeah.
word. Is one of the big things, like, and this isn't how to take care of your family, but although maybe it could be, is when I took my nutrition course, the first thing they asked was, what do you think about food, and how do you think about, and why do you eat it? And I was like, what are you like? Is it the course I'm taking, a psychological course? But actually, that it's actually what it is. And one of the things that, if people paid attention to what they eat, why they eat, how they feel when they eat, you would actually make different decisions, because what you're doing is you're detaching yourself, because eating many times, like you said, mouth pleasure is a emotional decision, or a stress decision, or a boredom decision. So, not that you do this every single time, but if you are aware, just try this on yourself one day. And when you're sitting around, you say, I'm going to go grab something to eat. Just pause and say, why am I getting something to eat? Or pay attention to when you do it. And then if you ask yourself, well, I'm just bored, or I don't know, because you're probably not necessarily hungry, then you actually can detach yourself and look and say, okay, I'm eating because I'm sad. Like, maybe you're sad, or you're just emotional, or you're bored. If you can recognize that, maybe it could stop you from going to the fridge at that one time, or making a bad decision. Or when you're sitting at night, like for me, if I sit at home, like if I come home early and if I throw a TV on and I sit there, it doesn't take long before I want to start creeping to the fridge or to the cupboards and start looking, because it's just an act of boredom and something to do, habits. Of course, I'm aware of it. It doesn't mean I stop myself, but I'm aware of it. And I think if people just actually started seeing, oh, I like, why do I have a coffee first thing in the morning? Why? I ask that question every day, and I'm not going to give it up. I like it. But why do I need it? Not even close. Not even close.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah,
That's a good point, man.
just being aware of things. And that's the thing, is like, most of the time when you eat, and that's players too, like after, before a game, right? Like, why do they stop at, like we talked earlier, Tim Hortons, to get a crap drink? It's just a habit. They ask, is this helping me, hurting me, or, why am I doing it? The answer would be, oh, I don't know, right? You don't need that. There's other things that you should be drinking or having that would be actually more beneficial. So, like, mindful eating, very important.
Yeah, and it takes a certain kind of brain. Like it's all this stuff that we talk about, even just with like related to hockey. It's like you have to ask questions, man. You have to want to know why. So wrapping up for me, I got three things I want to finish up on as kind of takeaways. The first, because I put a lot of information into this, and I don't want to overwhelm the listener. I was trying to be like not super in depth on it, but hopefully there's enough there where if you have follow up questions, whatever, you can ask. So first, the whole point of this episode is just to kind of understand how your body uses fuel. That's kind of the most important takeaway from this, and I'm hoping that understanding like some of these words, some of the terminology, will help you to do that. The second thing, as just the takeaway, is to focus on protein first, because like I said, that's the foundation, right? Back to that house analogy where it's the foundation and the frame of the house that's not built yet. If you don't have that, then everything that's on top of that is going to be weak, right? And then the last one is that digestion question, because I think that's an untapped area that people don't really think about a lot, is how does what I'm eating make me feel from a digestive perspective? That's a really important question to know, because that can inform your choices a little bit better. And if you value not having the mouth pleasure as number one, then I think that is going to put you on the right path to start to think of food appropriately in the context of performing well, right? Because if your go-to is always maximum taste good, then that cannot also be in line with maximum feel good. There's too much contradiction. It can still taste really good to eat what we would say healthy is. It can still taste really good, or eating for maximum performance. But there's a reason why like combining carbs and fats together tastes amazing. So I can turn any dessert you want into a protein dessert. It's just not as good. It's just not as
No,
good,
absolutely not.
right? It can scratch the itch, but it's just not as good. So if that's what you value, how does this feel in my mouth right now? Then you're going to be running into some issues, because that can't necessarily align with how does this make me feel? How does this make me perform? right? So those are my three takeaways, right? So understand how your body's using the fuel. So I've explained the fuel types to you guys: protein, carbs, and fats, right? Second one is focusing on protein, because protein is going to be your foundation for everything. And then when it comes to your carbs, fats, and protein, how are you digesting that stuff? How does that stuff make you feel? Those are my kind of three big hitters to take away from this episode. So hopefully that stuff kind of makes sense. Like I said, I know I kind of buzzed through that quick, but and I try to put a lot into that, but hopefully it gives a good foundation for that kind of stuff.